were a boy. Hello everyone, welcome back to the ETHEL podcast. My name is Courtney Grace Nizer and I'm the podcast director here. This is where we spotlight student researchers across all disciplines here at Charlotte. If you're not familiar, ETHEL stands for Excellence, Transformation, Honor, Equity, and Leadership Values. These show up in many ways in research, not in just labs, but also in studios, on stages, and in movement. So today we're joined by someone whose research explores the intersection of art and academia, bringing together dance into conversation with scholarship, as well as a way that challenges how we think about research entirely. I'm excited to introduce Naiya Graham with us here today, a researcher, performer, and a student here at UNC Charlotte who's using dance as a tool for deeper inquiry and expression. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
To get us started, I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your major, which I already kind of got into, your year, and something fun or unexpected that you love to do outside of dance in your research.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm a second year junior and I'm currently a dance education major. I guess something fun about me outside of dance, it's really hard because I feel like that's all that I do. I go to practice. I think I'm also like crafty. I do like on the side, I do like event planning. So that's something that's like my little niche, and just being crafty, making little things. I do like to draw.
Okay.
So always something else in the arts probably.
Right. So it's all like creativity.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what was your transition coming into college as someone who's pursuing like both performance and then working under a professor? Like how was that for you?
Yeah, so for me at first, I initially wasn't going to do a dance major. I was going to do like entrepreneurship and business. And so what really changed was when I came here for like a visit. And so the dance department here, they gave us free tickets to their spring concert, and they kind of gave me more insight to kind of what they do, the different styles they teach, and to get to know on a personal level like the professors here. So that's kind of what really drew me here. I would say like as it comes to working under a professor, how I got into it was just based off my student performance like in the classroom, because I have like a really strong writing background, so I always write, and so that's kind of how I got pulled into it. They were like, do you think you could, write this like research article and use this? And I was like, yeah, sure, like I'll give it a try. And I did it for the first time in my spring semester, my freshman year, and I was like, I really like doing research in dance. And before coming here, I didn't even know like there was even research that you could do in the dance field. So it really like broadened my eyes into that and getting more excited about it.
Oh wow! So do you have a dance background like before coming
Yeah.
here? Okay.
Yeah, I've been dancing since I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So I did hip hop, clogging, jazz, and musical theater.
Okay.
And then I was experimenting more as I came here. So now I do like ballet and modern.
Okay.
And I'm still training in hip hop, and now I'm doing research in hip hop this summer.
Okay. Well, so you have like you're multifaceted.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty cool. And then, so how did research even begin for you, especially in dance? A lot of people don't even realize that dance can be a form of research. So can you tell me about a bit of your guidance or mentorship, who has helped you, your research path, and what exactly is your project about?
Yeah, I think the first experience I had with like dance research was at my home studio with my teacher, Paul Gerald. He used to give us these pop quizzes on clogging, and so we had to look them up, and I was like, what am I supposed
Can you
to
tell us
look
what
up?
clogging is?
Yeah, yeah, because I was at first, like, when I was learning, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to look up, but clogging is a form of buck dancing. It's very similar to kind of like river dance, but think of like, it's very similar to tap in a way, but it's very different with the form of the shoe. So on the soles of the shoe, there's double taps, and also it kind of has more, how could you say, like, it's more groovy. It is more like modern, contemporary that you can make it, but it does involve like a lot of country music as well. But it comes from the people in like the Appalachian Mountains. So that's where it really derives from.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the current research you're doing now and the professor you're working under?
Yeah. So currently I'm working with Dr. Kostavi Sarkar, and for our research project for this semester, we're working on intergenerational pedagogy. And what that means is when you're in the classroom environment with the students specifically, you're working with different age levels. So the people that I work with, we work with 10 different dance educators across the state of North Carolina. And so the youngest range, the youngest children that they had was 2 years old, and the highest was like 70 plus. So we're looking at the interactions that those students have with each other. So do the younger kids, for example, like if they're 12 years old, do they help somebody who's maybe 35 and needs help with like the step going over together, and vice versa?
So what Naiya is talking about is really important because this kind of interaction challenges age-based assumptions about who's teaching and who's learning. It encourages mutual respect, shared responsibility, and a broader understanding of community. Intergenerational pedagogy helps participants develop communication, skills, empathy, and confidence, all while learning to work with people who have different life experiences and perspectives.
So we're looking at that, but specifically we're looking at it in the theoretical framework of dance education standards and integrating that into the Indian diaspora, specifically with Indian classical dance.
Okay, oh wow, it's very interesting. So why did this topic speak to you personally? Like why did you choose it and why did you continue to stick with it?
Yeah, so in the past, I did research on dance education, specifically for an honors thesis. And so I was talking about like the advocacy of dance education, how it's really important to implement them into K-12 schools, and trying to bring more awareness about it, because there's not that many that's in the state of North Carolina, and my research was looking at the scope of that and advocating why it's beneficial. And so I kind of learned about what the different standards mean and how you're supposed to assess for each grade level. So that's kind of how I got tied into it. And then Dr. Sarkar brought me on. She was like, I know you have a strong background in learning about that, since that is my major currently. And she was like, I really want you to explain this to other people, or community-based dance programs that could incorporate these standards, because a lot of the times they're teaching some of those concepts, but they can't really put a name to it. But it's going more in depth to it, and really giving the students a more solid foundation, so that if they do pursue dance at a higher level, at college, they kind of have some tools already to come in with.
Great. So building that foundation early on. Okay, great. So what does a typical research day look like for you? And I can imagine it's not like a chemistry lab.
Yeah.
So can you kind of walk me through that?
Yeah, so when we first started out, I used to just sit in on Dr. Sarkar's practices. So on Sundays, we would be there for 3 hours. So I would take notes and kind of write down what I would see, similarities to different dance steps in other genres like modern and ballet, and writing those. And then based off of the notes that I would take on the dancers, I would create prompts for them to kind of give them more insight and information on other dance styles, but also giving them critiques as well, and how they can kind of help improve their technique. How can you, transfer one way on one foot to the other, and kind of ease that, how to correctly align your ankles and your toes, and being centered and balanced when you're doing turns. And once we did that, I would always take attendance, and that's kind of how I started out. And so then after that, I kind of looked at, okay, so what is it that's missing from the class that they need to know more of? So that's when we came up with the idea of incorporating the North Carolina Dance Education Standards. And so what I did was that I broke it down into the context of Indian classical dance, and provided examples of how that would look for them. So I first would begin looking for topics on, what is Indian classical dance in the Indian diaspora, because I just got introduced to it last year. So I was familiar with it, and I know the style, but I really didn't know all the different cultural meanings and concepts. There's certain technical terms. I'm okay, I need to know these terms, because how can I explain something to them, but it's a disconnect.
Right.
So I had to look up what is the different religious texts are, and what are the different names the mudras and the different chakras that they might use, and also understanding how each genre inside of Indian classical dance is different. So that was what it was for me. So it was reading a lot of information and looking up different journal articles, but also looking at the work of Dr. Sarkar, because she has previous research articles that she's published.
Yeah.
So looking at that to get a better understanding, and constantly going to the library and looking for books on anything that I could find. So honestly, just gathering a bunch of information and trying to compile it, take little things, highlight, and really kind of assess okay, I need to really understand what this material is. Like, okay, I understand this, but I'm missing something else. Like, you know, but also asking Dr. Sarkar for any questions that I might have, because, you know, she's been teaching this for like over 30 plus years.
Right. Wow, that's really, I like that you're also making sure you're culturally aware and respectful of the dance that you're learning. So that's really great. I think in research it's really important to incorporate that.
Yeah.
So when the creative or research process gets frustrating, like let's say you're going to the library, you can't find the book, or you're Googling, you can't find the literature, which I know definitely happens. How do you usually work through that?
So I just had this problem actually. Usually, I have to like give myself breaks. I'm like, okay, I can't get frustrated that I can't find something. I always try to find a workaround, if anything, because I know like they have like the library database, and there was an article that I really wanted to use for my research, but I did not have any access to it, and they wanted me to pay, and I was like, is there any way I can get around this? And unfortunately, I was not able to use it, and the library didn't have access to it anymore, and I was like, okay. So what I learned was that usually they'll at least let you look at the abstract or like the references that the article used.
Right.
So I would just look through there, and then it would connect me to other articles, and I was like, oh, this one's actually better, and not what I was looking for at first, but I was like, I could really use this.
Wow,
So that's kind of how I get around that, but also asking other dance educators in the department, like, do you have any recommendations of personal books that you have? Because some of them will, you know, give you references to different books.
I see. I like that. Like not limiting yourself to this the one resource, or being like, let me find something else, and it's probably better than what I was looking for originally.
Yeah, you never know if you don't ask.
You don't ask, exactly. Great. So how do you see your research influencing or showing up in the real world, which you did explain in a certain community, but maybe in education, performance studies, or even community outreach?
Yeah, I think for my research, I'm more focused on like advocacy, because that's a really, really big thing. There's well, I wouldn't say a program, but it's called NDEO. It's the National Dance Education Organization. So that's kind of where we get all of our information from. And for them, we follow like different articles that they put out about how you can advocate for your dance program, different grants that you can apply for. So my research is really trying to emphasize the implementation, because I think that what people miss about dance, and specifically in K-12 schools, is that it's not being taught by dance educators or certified ones. And like the students, it's kind of disservice to them, because they're not really learning like foundational concepts that they need to learn, and they're just kind of watching a video of dance, but they're not really like critically analyzing the video. Like, what different movements did you see? Are there different levels? What are the shapes? Like, you really want to kind of make them do like inquiry-based questions, like really have thought-provoking thoughts about the dances and what they see, and how does it make them feel? What emotion do you feel when you watch the dance? So it's kind of looking under that layer of that, kind of delving more deep into the emotions or different themes and topics that they might express. Like recently, this morning, I teach first grade for one of my clinical classes, and I taught them about Alvin Ailey. So I wanted to teach them more about like histories about the civil rights era, and you know, different dance works that kind of like were in response to that era. So Alvin Ailey did that, talking about his childhood that he calls his blood memories. And so I taught them two of the different dances and kind of the religious meanings behind them, because it was the Revelations dance.
I've been talked about, shows you.
I was just explaining to them that, you know, Alvin Ailey is a famous Black choreographer and dancer, and he was known for his modern dance style, and then Revelations and this Alvin Ailey dance, American Dance Theater, and explaining how important that was back then, because he was one of those early modern dance pioneers, because that's when it was like first and upcoming.
Okay.
So really just teaching them different history behind it, and understanding why we do what we do today, because a lot of dance isn't written down on a piece of paper. It's embodied learning. So the only way you can teach it is by learning from the actual person, and it gets passed down. So that's one hard thing that is about researching about dance. So you can't just always record it, especially back then. Like there's no video, so you have to really pay attention. So you can't just like halfway do it.
Right, makes sense. Great, that's really great. So, I mean, it's gonna be a while until you graduate. I think you said you're a junior.
Yeah,
so
I'm a second year, but I still have 2 more years.
2 more, okay.
Yeah.
So, any long-term goals or dreams you have when it comes to dance or research? I know you're obviously working with first graders. Do you see yourself teaching dance or pivoting?
So what I really want to do, I do want to teach probably like secondary school, more likely high school, in the education system, and then eventually I do want to have like my own dance studio. That's always something I wanted to do since a little girl. And then I also want to have my own dance franchise, like a dance store. I always want to cater to my dancers because I feel like we don't have enough dance stores. Everything is so far out, especially when it comes to like buying different shoes, and especially for like minority dancers, there's not a lot of like skin tone options. So I definitely want to cater to that population as well.
Okay, well, that's great. And how has being involved in dance research changed how you see yourself as a dancer, a student, or even just as a person?
I would say it's definitely changed my perspective a lot, and especially how like I assess my body. We talk a lot about body and mind awareness and how to listen to your body and how does it connect with the forward, and also like how does it feel in the space? What is your energy like? Where are you initiating your movements from? Like really thinking about the anatomy of the body. I never thought about that before. And so now I take that a lot more seriously, like really looking into what do I have to really initiate? What do I have to move? How can I show more dynamics and like flow like in my body and with the movements that I perform?
Oh, wow. And I never think of it like that. When I see dancers, I'm just like, oh, they're just dancing. But I never think of like the mind-body connection and the thinking that goes behind the movements, which is really great to hear. So if people or the viewers wanted to follow your journey or learn more about your work, where can they find you?
First of all, the Charlotte Dance Department, I'm on there as well. We just did a photo shoot, so you'll see me on some of the promotionals. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Naiya. It was great hearing about your journey and your story, and stay tuned to see her dance, guys.
If I were a boy in this world, kick it with who I'm on, and I never kick it from